5 victims in 4 states. And he wasn't going to stop until he killed the most famous designer in the world. He killed several men on his way down to Miami, Florida. But why? What was his motivation? Let's find out right now. Happy Frightful Friday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne-Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carencro, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne-Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best. And you are ready to hear a true crime story with yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are y'all drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20-30 minute walk every day, especially first thing in the morning. Get those endorphins up and you're going to have an amazing day, I promise you. And today we are celebrating 2 exciting events of mine. Yes, today on September 6th, 2024, it marks my 1-year anniversary on YouTube. Yes, my 1-year anniversary. 1 year ago today, on September 6th, 2023, I released my very first video on South Louisiana serial killer, Derek Todd Lee. I had an encounter with him back in 2002, and I would strongly suggest that y'all go watch the video. I'm gonna put the link down below so y'all can go and watch the video and see how much I've grown in 1 full year. Another exciting event that we are celebrating today is my 100th video. Yes, my 100th video. I am elated to be here with y'all tonight sharing this wonderful news. And as always, as y'all know, I normally put out a video on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursdays. It's very rare for a Friday. But I wanted to release this video today because we are celebrating my 1-year anniversary and my 100th video all in the same day. And I'm here with y'all spending this night. And I'm very excited to be here with y'all. I had 2 goals when I started YouTube. My 2 goals was to get at least 500 followers in the first year and to make at least 50 videos in 1 year. As you all know, YouTube is very hard. You have to research every case, read every book, then you have to write everything down, memorize it, film it, and then hours and hours and days of editing. But there is no place I would rather be than sitting here with you. And I have exceeded both of those goals. I've reached almost 700 followers on YouTube, almost 11,000 followers on TikTok, and I have reached 100 videos, way past my goal of 50 videos in 1 year. And for you, I am truly grateful. Today, we are going to be discussing a very famous Italian designer, one of the best designers in the world. Yes, today we are going to be discussing Gianni Versace. And sadly, Gianni Versace lost his life in July of 1997 in Miami, Florida. Gianni Versace loved the city of Miami, even purchased a beachfront property in the 90s. He adored Miami. And today, I am honoring Gianni Versace by wearing my University of Miami sweatshirt that my daughter purchased for me. As all of you know, I love Miami. I go there several times a year. South Beach is my absolute favorite place. I love Miami. But sadly, Gianni Versace lost his life in Miami. Before we discuss Gianni Versace, we have to discuss the man that took Gianni Versace's life. And that man is Andrew Cunanan. Andrew Cunanan was born on August 31st, 1969 in San Diego, California, to his parents, Filipino-American dad, Modesto, and Italian-American mother, Anne. Andrew was the youngest of 4 siblings and very smart and very spoiled. Andrew, around 3 or 4 years old, would go to school And his teachers would tell his parents that he was advanced, that he was gifted, that he was extremely smart and had this ability to want to learn. By the time Andrew was 5 years old, he was dressing very sharp with his little cardigans, his button-down shirts, his little ties. He always looked incredible. When Andrew was only 7 years old, his parents would have these lavish dinner parties, and Andrew would entertain all the guests by telling jokes, by making them laugh, and by showing them around the house. By the time Andrew was 10 years old, he had memorized the entire encyclopedias, and he can recite the encyclopedias like this. He had an IQ of 147. Around this time, Andrew's older brother, Chris, would try to wrestle with Andrew. And Andrew would tell him, I am not participating in this type of behavior. He was just the perfect little gentleman all through his young childhood. Andrew was considered to be the genius of the family. Everyone doted on him. He was so spoiled that his parents gave him the master bedroom with his own private bath. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't have any type of treatment like that when I was a child. My parents had the master bedroom, like I'm sure all of us had, but Andrew was crazy spoiled. They even called him Prince Andrew. And when Andrew was in the 7th grade, he found the tallest, most beautiful blonde-haired girl and brought her to this Halloween dance. And they went as Princess Diana and Prince Charles because Andrew wanted to live this high society lifestyle. It was said that Andrew's parents were only together due to the children, that they didn't really like each other. Andrew's mother was crazy, possessive, and obsessed with Andrew, always worried about what he was doing and who he was with. Andrew's father was known as a liar, telling several people how much money he had when they didn't really have money. It was said that his father is the one that taught Andrew about the finer things in life. All of Andrew's brothers and sisters attended public schools, but not Andrew. No, Andrew attended a very exclusive private school in California, Bishop High. And this was the type of school that only the rich and famous went to. People like doctors and lawyers' children, very exclusive. Andrew loved being there because he wanted to live that type of lifestyle. And it was said that Andrew was an extrovert. He craved attention. He loved to be the center of attention and wanted to be around everyone and wanted everyone to notice him all the time. Andrew was extremely out there. He was so out there that for one of the high school dances, he brought an older gentleman to the dance, and Andrew wore an all red, all leather bodysuit and didn't care what anyone thought of him. And I actually think that's awesome when people can express themselves like nobody's watching, like nobody cares. The only person that they want to please is themselves. And that's what Andrew did that night at the dance. He was trying to please himself. It was said that Andrew was extremely popular while he attended Bishop High. Andrew CUNANAN was known as a very pathological liar. He lied about everything. He told his classmates that his family had sugar plantations. He told his classmates that his family owned a house on 5th Avenue in New York. He told so many lies because he was trying to keep up with all of his classmates. He didn't have the things his classmates had. It was also said that Andrew CUNANAN made a very disturbing comment in his senior yearbook. It said, "After me, the storm." In my opinion, this is just coming from me, my personal opinion, when I read that quote, it seems like he was saying, after me, there's no one else. After me, no one follows. That's how I took it. But I want y'all to remember that quote because it's going to come back. And another thing, Andrew won his senior year. You know how they have most beautiful, most popular, most likely to succeed? Andrew Cunanan got the best vote of most likely to be remembered. But why was that? It was said the last 2 years of Andrew Cunanan's high school years, he was running around with a drug crowd, hustling on the side. I don't know if he was taking drugs or selling drugs, but it was said that he was affiliated with drugs in some type of way. After Andrew Cunanan graduated high school in 1987, he enrolled in the University of California, San Diego, majoring in American history. At the age of 19, Andrew's entire world collapsed when his father deserted the entire family, moving to the Philippines to avoid being arrested for embezzlement. Andrew was absolutely devastated as he was extremely close to his father. His whole world fell apart. Around this time, Andrew Cunanan started going to gay bars and restaurants and came out as a gay man to his family and friends. Andrew Cunanan was very happy and loved his lifestyle. In 1989, Andrew Cunanan dropped out of college, moving to San Francisco to live with his best friend and her boyfriend. In San Francisco, he met Gianni Versace. Now, we do not know if Andrew Cunanan actually met Gianni Versace, but it was said by several people that Andrew told people that he had met and hung out with Gianni Versace while Gianni Versace was in San Francisco on October 21st, 1990. Andrew said he not only hung out with Gianni, but that he hung out with him for some time in his limousine. People say that it's not true. People say that it is true. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Andrew Cunanan actually hung out and met Gianni Versace? In my opinion, as good-looking, intelligent, and sweet as Andrew was, he probably lost his mind when he met Gianni Versace and introduced himself. It was said that Andrew wanted to be just like Gianni Versace. Gianni Versace represented what Andrew wanted. Very good looking, very rich, and very powerful. And Andrew wanted that type of lifestyle. Andrew Cunanan wanted to be wealthy, powerful, and admired. Around this time, Andrew Cunanan was seeing older, wealthier men. He was going to Paris. He was skiing in Aspen. He was all over the world, traveling constantly. Andrew started seeing an older, wealthy man by the name of Norman Blackburn. Norman lived in a marvelous mansion overlooking the Pacific Ocean. He would give Andrew $2,500 a month, access to his credit cards, and Andrew's own car. Andrew fell in love with this lifestyle and loved living the lavish lifestyle. Around November of 1995, in a San Francisco bar, Andrew met the love of his life, David Matson. They started a long-distance relationship. For a while, Andrew Cunanan was juggling both men, Norman and David Matson. But David Matson was very confused about Andrew. Andrew was constantly telling these weird stories. It was said that David would question him, like, Andrew, why is your number always changing every couple of months? Why every time I come in town, we can't go to your house, we have to stay at a hotel? Why do you promise to spend time with me, then cancel at the last minute? So David Matson was growing very, very weirded out by Andrew Cunanan's lies and his lifestyle. And in 1996, David Matson had had enough and broke off the relationship with Andrew Cunanan. Andrew Cunanan was so very upset that at this time he broke up with the older, wealthier gentleman, Norman. And this is when Andrew's life started to slowly unravel. Andrew started gaining weight, he started losing his hair, was seen not shaven. And normally Andrew was the life of the party. He would throw these lavish parties. He was an extrovert. He loved people. He loved hugging. He was loud. He wanted to be heard. He craved attention. But when David Madsen broke up with him, he went into a deep, dark depression. He was running up high debts on his own credit cards, and he craved the lavish lifestyle. But he felt like he couldn't have it anymore. He was worried about his life and worried about what he was going to do with himself, because he was so devastated about the breakup between he and David Madsen. Andrew Cunanan had a very close friend named Jeffrey Trail. Andrew and Jeffrey met while Jeffrey was in San Diego. It was said that Andrew and Jeffrey were very close friends and had no romantic relationship. But in November of 1996, Jeffrey Trail moved to Minneapolis, where Andrew's ex-lover David Madsen was living at the time. Even though David Madsen and Andrew were broken up, Andrew would often go to Minneapolis to see Jeffrey and David. It was said that Andrew Cunanan would make these surprising, unannounced visits. Now that's very weird, to leave California and go to Minneapolis unannounced. I mean, that's huge for someone to do that. Just weird, but Andrew was weird. Y'all gonna see later. It was said that Andrew really wanted to get back with David Madsen. He would get there, he would go in his face, he would try to rekindle their relationship, but David Madsen just wasn't interested. And David Madsen had moved on and started seeing other men, but Andrew just didn't care. He would use the excuse to be in Minneapolis, saying that he was there to see his friend Jeffrey Trail. But Jeffrey Trail and David Madsen had had enough of Andrew Cunanan. It was said that Jeffrey Trail told David Madsen, "Don't believe anything Andrew says. He is a pathological liar and likes to lie just to see people's reaction." Jeffrey Trail would go to these parties that Andrew would host, and Andrew would say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a present, and I want you to give it to me in front of everyone, and so everyone could think you got it for me. Or I want you to come to this party dressed up as this artist or doctor and show everybody that you're there for me." So it was this constant lie that Jeffrey Trail had to say for Andrew Cunanan. And Jeffrey Trail was just tired of it. And he had told several of Andrew's friends, including David Madsen, that Andrew was a storyteller and a pathological liar. Jeffrey and David wanted to be done with Andrew and the relationship, as well as the friendship. But in April of 1997, Andrew told his friends that he had unfinished business in Minneapolis with Jeffrey Trail. Even though David Madsen did not want to see Andrew, he decided to pick up Andrew Cunanan at the airport in Minneapolis, where Andrew was going to stay with David Madsen. On Friday, April 25th, David Madsen picks up Andrew Cunanan at the airport, and Andrew spends the night at David Madsen's apartment. On Saturday, Jeffrey Trail tells Andrew that even though he's out of town, that he could stay at his apartment. So on Saturday night, Andrew Cunanan stays at Jeffrey Trail's house. And while Andrew is there, he steals Jeffrey Trail's gun. On Sunday, Andrew Cunanan is back at David Madsen's apartment. Andrew calls Jeffrey Trail and tells him to come visit him at David Madsen's apartment. At 9:45 on Sunday night, April 27th, Jeffrey Trail buzzes David Madsen's apartment, and Andrew Cunanan allows him in. Witnesses say they heard a scuffle and someone yell, "Get the F out." That is when Andrew Cunanan attacked his friend Jeffrey Trail with a claw hammer, striking him over 27 times, killing his friend Jeffrey Trail. He then takes Jeffrey Trail, rolls him up in a carpet, and puts him behind the couch. Jeffrey Trail's watch stopped at 9:55, and cops believe this is when the killing took place. Why would Andrew Cunanan murder his friend with a claw hammer and strike him around 27 times? Why? What happened? What could have occurred from the time he buzzed him in at 9:45 to the time the murder started around 9:55? What happened in those 10 minutes? Why was Andrew so upset with his friend, Jeffrey Trail? It was said that Andrew Cunanan hated rejection. So, did Jeffrey Trail reject Andrew? Did Jeffrey Trail tell Andrew he didn't want to be his friend anymore? What happened that Andrew Cunanan would brutally attack? This is a very personal attack, y'all. This is not a very simple crime. This is like a crime of passion. This is crazy. This is someone attacking someone. You're in their face. It's very personal, killing them with a claw hammer. That's not an instant death. So why did Andrew Cunanan have to brutally murder his friend, Jeffrey Trail? Cops believe that David Madsen arrived back from his apartment after walking his dog Prince, and that is where he discovered the body of Jeffrey Trail brutally murdered inside his apartment, inside of a rug behind the couch. Police believe that Andrew Cunanan held David Madsen hostage for 2 days in the apartment with the dead body. On May 2nd, it was said that people saw David and Andrew having lunch in a bar. It was also said that David and Andrew were seen in David Madsen's red Jeep. Sadly, on May 3rd, 1997, David Madsen's body was discovered near Rush Lake, shot once in the back, twice in the head with Jeffrey Trail's gun. Now, why would Andrew, who said that David Madsen was the love of his life, why would Andrew murder him? What happened? What made Andrew Cunanan snap? Because police strongly believe that these two murders were connected. There's a dead body in David Madsen's apartment, and then David Madsen shows up dead by a lake. Cops knew this had to be related in some type of way. But why? Why would Andrew take the love of his life? What made Andrew murder his two good friends? These two people were normal. They were normal people in Andrew Cunanan's life. They knew him better than anyone else. They spent a lot of time with Andrew. So why would Andrew decide to take the life of his two dear friends just days apart? What made Andrew Cunanan change into a different person when he arrived in Minneapolis? As we all know with serial killers, once a serial killer kills and gets away with it, they think they are invincible. They have crossed that line and there is no turning back, and their behavior escalates in a domino effect, killing person after person after person. So what does Andrew Cunanan do after he brutally murders David Madsen and Jeffrey Trail? On May 3rd, he drives to Chicago, Illinois, where he brutally kills 72-year-old prominent real estate developer Lee Miglin. Andrew bounds his feet and his arms and legs and hands. He duct tapes his head. He brutally stabs him over 20 times with a screwdriver and then slits his throat with some type of hacksaw. He leaves Lee Miglin in the garage, covered in blood. He then eats ham and an apple. He then steals from Lee Miglin's coin collection. And then he steals Lee Miglin's green Lexus. Lee Miglin's family discovers his death as a worse death than Christ. So I have no idea what this family experienced, what they saw, what they witnessed when they found the body of Lee Miglin. But it must have been terrifying and a brutal death. It was said that Andrew CUNANAN had no relationship to Lee Miglin, that this was a random killing. In my opinion, this was no random killing. I work on several cases, as y'all know. I read about several cases. For a person to murder a person in this way, it seems extremely personal. I think that Andrew and Lee met maybe years ago, maybe months before, who knows? I think they had some type of relationship. I don't know if it was romantic or a friendship, but in my opinion, they knew each other in some type of way. And maybe Andrew was very jealous of Lee Miglin. But for Andrew to do what he did to Lee Miglin was very personal and very brutal. And as we all know, Andrew CUNANAN was not a very experienced killer. He was killing at this time, but why? Yes, we have seen serial killers that go into a home and commit brutal murders and walk out. We have seen it with Ted Bundy. We have seen it with the Idaho murders back in 2022. We have seen people walk into a home, murder people, and walk out. But they do it and leave. Andrew CUNANAN spent time at Lee Miglin's house, helping himself to food, helping himself to stealing coins and cars. So in my opinion, did Andrew know that Lee Miglin was going to be by himself for a while? Because it was said that Lee Miglin's wife was out of town at the time. What made Andrew CUNANAN so comfortable that he stayed in Lee Miglin's house for a while after killing him? What made Andrew CUNANAN feel so incredibly comfortable that he knew no one was going to come home and find him? Or did Andrew CUNANAN just not care and this was a random killing? It just so happens, what if he was in Chicago and just happened to see Lee Miglin and saw that he was a wealthy man and decided to go in the house and rob and kill him? Who knows? But in my personal opinion, I believe there was some type of relationship, some type of meeting between Lee Miglin and Andrew CUNANAN. Andrew CUNANAN has made several calls on Lee Miglin's cell phone, which is located inside of Lee Miglin's green Lexus, which Andrew had stolen. Andrew knew the cops were tracing him and looking for him. Cops also found an abandoned red Jeep belonging to David Matson near Lee Miglin's home. Cops arrive at David Matson's home to find a duffel bag with Andrew CUNANAN's name on it. Police believe that Andrew CUNANAN is responsible for all three murders, and the puzzle pieces are coming together. Andrew now knows he has to ditch Lee Miglin's green Lexus and find another vehicle. Andrew pulls up to a remote cemetery where he encounters 45-year-old William Reese in New Jersey. William Reese is there reading his Bible and listening to Christian music on the radio when Andrew forces him down to the basement, murdering William Reese before taking his red pickup truck. Andrew brutally murdered and shot this man for absolutely no reason. If Andrew wanted to take this man's vehicle, why didn't he just take it? He didn't have to kill him. Andrew didn't have to kill any of his victims. But Andrew shot and killed William Reese, took his red pickup truck, stopped in South Carolina to replace the plates on the red Jeep, on the red pickup truck, with stolen plates. He then drives to Miami, Florida, arriving on May 12th, where he checks into the Normandy Plaza Hotel in Miami Beach, where he pays $29 a night in cash for for 2 months. Andrew Cunanan was hiding in plain sight for 2 months. Andrew Cunanan is now wanted by the FBI. Andrew Cunanan is not hiding from the police while he is in Miami. While Andrew is staying in Miami, he goes to a pawn shop to pawn the coins that he stole from Lee Miglin. While he was there, he had to leave a fingerprint and fill out his information. He gave his ID. He put the address of the Normandy Hotel Plaza he was staying at. He did not hide from anyone. Andrew gave his name, gave his fingerprint, gave his address, gave his ID. Andrew was walking around Miami Beach and Miami like it was nothing. He wasn't hiding. He was eating pizza. It said he was walking around. He was just living it up, living his life, while the FBI and the police are looking for him everywhere. Gianni Versace was a world-famous Italian designer. Gianni Versace discovered Miami as he was on a layover in Miami on his way to Cuba. Gianni Versace had a driver drive him around Miami, which is where he fell in love with Miami Beach. Gianni Versace purchased a beautiful beachfront mansion in South Beach. I have been to Gianni Versace's mansion several times. I even stayed there one night. The restaurant is amazing. The house is incredible, and you can go anytime you want. You can visit it. You could stay in the house, and you can eat at the restaurant, lunch, brunch, dinner. And my 2 daughters absolutely love the Versace mansion. And every time we go to Miami, they want to go eat at the Versace restaurant. So if y'all ever in Miami, y'all need to go to Gianni Versace's home and see how beautiful it is and eat at his restaurant. Fabulous food. Gianni Versace loved being a designer. He designed several outfits. He designed outfits and dresses from movie stars to royalty like Princess Diana. Gianni Versace was at the pinnacle of his career in 1997. On Tuesday, July 15, 1997, around 8:45 a.m., Gianni Versace steps out of his mansion and walks down the street as he did every day to News Cafe to get his morning papers. They had a huge selection of international newspapers. Gianni would buy several newspapers and magazines and return to his home. Gianni Versace returned to his home around 9 a.m. And as he climbs the steps of his beautiful home, Andrew Cunanan comes from behind him and shoots him twice in the head, killing him instantly. Gianni Versace is pronounced dead around 9:15 a.m. Gianni Versace was only 50 years old when his life ended. It was said that Andrew Cunanan watched him for days. Gianni Versace was out of town and arrived back in Miami on July 10th, and that is when police believe that Andrew Cunanan learned his routine and watched him every day and watched what he was doing and where he would go. Watched how he would walk, how slow or how fast he would walk, and knew that he wanted to murder Gianni Versace. After Andrew Cunanan murdered Versace, he was on the run. People saw him running away. It was said he even pointed a gun at someone as he was running. He ran to the garage where the pickup truck was parked. It was said he changed clothes. And for 8 days, Andrew Cunanan was on the run, hiding on a houseboat. On July 23rd, 1997, Andrew Cunanan took his own life. When police found Andrew Cunanan on the houseboat deceased, he was surrounded by several newspapers and articles discussing Gianni Versace's death. It was always said that Andrew wanted this lavish lifestyle. He wanted to be powerful and famous. He wanted to be remembered. And it was said that's why he wrote that quote in his high school yearbook, his senior year, "After me, the storm." It means he was going to be remembered for the rest of his life for killing world famous Italian designer Gianni Versace. Andrew, in my opinion, wanted to be remembered, and this is how he wanted to be remembered. He wanted to be known as the man that took Gianni Versace's life, the most famous designer in the world. Andrew CUNANAN was a horrible human being. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought is, I do believe that Andrew CUNANAN was extremely envious of Gianni Versace. Gianni Versace was everything that Andrew CUNANAN wanted to be. He was good looking. He was a gay man. He was powerful. He was wealthy. He was admired. And at the time of Gianni Versace's death, he was worth over $800 million. He was at the pinnacle of his career. He was a master designer. It was said that Gianni Versace said designing clothes was like oxygen to him. It just came to him naturally. He loved doing it. And this is the type of person Andrew CUNANAN wanted to be. So he felt in his mind, in my opinion, that he couldn't be that person. So he wanted to murder that type of person. It was said that Andrew CUNANAN never held a real job. He was always a hustler. He didn't want to earn his millions. He wanted to take millions. Now, do I believe that Andrew CUNANAN and Gianni Versace met? Yes. In my opinion, I do believe that there was some type of encounter between the two. I could be wrong. I don't know. A lot of people say there's no truth to it. There's no evidence. But for Andrew CUNANAN to go all the way from New Jersey, where he murdered William Reese, to Miami, Florida, that's a long drive just to murder someone. I do believe that Andrew CUNANAN had some type of motive and wanted to kill Gianni Versace because he was very envious and jealous of Versace. Andrew CUNANAN was slowly unraveling. His life was done. He was homeless. He didn't have any money. The cops were looking for him. There was this huge manhunt for him everywhere. And he knew that there was nothing else for him. So he took the easy way out and murdered himself instead of taking the rap for murdering 5 people. Andrew CUNANAN did not have to resort to murder, but he did. And I do believe that if Andrew was still alive today, he would still be lying. He would still be telling tales on why he committed these murders, or he would deny it all. I do believe, in my personal opinion, that the only unknown victim of Andrew CUNANAN was William Reese. I do believe that Andrew CUNANAN knew the other 4 victims in some type of way. We know that he was good friends with David Madsen and Jeffrey Trail. We do not know or have any evidence that he knew Lee Miglin or Gianni Versace. But in my opinion, he had some type of encounter with them. Another thing that I find weird, Andrew CUNANAN was in Miami for 2 months before murdering Gianni Versace. Gianni Versace returned to Miami around July 10th. Andrew CUNANAN checks out of the Normandy Plaza on July 12th. So was Andrew there for 2 months in Miami waiting for Versace? Did he want to learn his routine? Did he want to see where he was going to be? In my opinion, Andrew CUNANAN went to Miami to murder Gianni Versace. But when he saw that Gianni Versace wasn't home, he waited and waited and waited till he knew was a good time to strike. Andrew CUNANAN was only 27 years old when he committed these 5 murders. And in my opinion, If Andrew had not been caught, he was still going to be killing people. He was still a murderer. He was out of control at this point. He was killing just to kill. And he wrote his own destiny. He said he was going to die his own way, which he did. It was very sad, but I hope Gianni Versace is resting in peace, as well as the other victims, Jeffrey Trail, David Matson, William Reese, and Lee Miglin. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. I hope that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. And as always, stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings. Always know that you can come to me with anything, a request, or you can always message me. And as always, I want to thank you for all the love and support. I truly appreciate all of you. And thank you for watching my 100th video today on Gianni Versace and his killer, Andrew CUNANAN. And as always, I love you all. And I will see y'all next week with more videos. Bye.